Hajia Mahdi Emefa was born in April 1957 in Katsina State. She is a women's rights advocate and the Secretary General of Women's Rights Advancement and Protection Alternative Wrapa. She obtained her first degree from the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University Zaria and has published over 20 books focusing on violence against women, women's rights, Sharia and women in education. She has several certificates in various fields such as in entrepreneurship, fiscal and financial management, human rights, advocacy, and institution building. Hajia Mahdi is one of the co-conveners of Bring Back Our Girls advocacy campaign who fought for the return of the kidnapped schoolgirls in Chibok community, Borno State. Hajia and her legal team have defended many human rights cases such as the freedom of Amina Lawal Kurami, who was accused of adultery and was sentenced to death by stoning by the Katsina State Sharia Court. The former President Goodluck Jonathan conferred her with the National Honors Award, member of the Order of the Federal Republic, MFR. The National Merit Award was in recognition of her work in development, advocacy, human rights, and defense of women.
Saudatu Mahdi is just an ordinary northern Nigerian woman who grew up in partly Katsina, Kano, Kaduna, and Zaria. And I come from a family that is very large. I also come from a family that is loving and caring. I realized very early in life that who you are is a factor of who you make yourself. So that value of self-consciousness of who you are and what life throws out to you and how you manage it is an early education I got. I was privileged by the strong conviction of my dad that a girl's education is the best you can give. And between myself and my sisters and my brothers, he prioritized the education of the girls because he has a lived experience of his own sisters who he felt probably would have been in a better position if they had received some form of education. So I started out my primary education in Katsina, not because I was the age, but because I really had an appetite for education. For me, without this education today, I don't know where I would be. Because I do look back, I see sisters, I see cousins, I see people in my ward who did not get the same opportunity. So I never forget to thank Allah and Alhaji Hassan and Hajia Amala and Hajia Binta for the support I got to be educated to the level I was. And I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because that education has continued to shape my life. Again, providence. Providence, providence, providence. I never set out to be an activist or a women's rights activist in a defined manner. But my grandmother tells me, my maternal grandmother tells me that I have always been a rights-based person. She doesn't define it that way. But she says I had no stomach for injustice. And I would ask questions, why would you do this to somebody? Why would somebody be treated like this? But it is not right. And this is as a child. Because they say as a child, I would ask many questions. Why did this happen this way? Why would you do this? And in summary, that's how I managed to get this understanding that I'd always had an inkling for justice, an inkling for, fair hearing. And I came to be a women's rights activist after retiring from public service. I was in public service for 18 years. I left as a registrar, an acting registrar of a polytechnic, Bauchi State Polytechnic. As a teacher first, then a vice principal, and then a registrar. I had the opportunity to see human beings and to interface with them and to see the dynamics of how living happens. And I know for a fact that When I had to leave my job because of, again, gender and geography and politics, I had not prepared to be a rights activist. But Providence, like I said, brought me to the attention of Honorable Justice Fatilani Abubakar, who had set up Wrapa as the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria then, and had been recommended by late Sadiq Mahmoud to be on her board of trustees. And I had joined her board of trustees as a member. And through the early days of the organization, Professor Zainab Al-Kali was the first secretary. And when she had to go back on her sabbatical, we had a vacuum. And I was invited by Justice Fati and other members of the board to take up the mantle of being the secretary of the organization. Later it was named Secretary General. It has been a big opportunity. It's a job probably that I should have started earlier on in my life. But like I said, every learning curve is an opportunity, and it is also something that people should cherish and put in boxes, because you will return to them later. The Women's Rights Advancement and Protection Alternative, for me, and the leadership of that organization, is a culmination of who God has destined me to be. And it hasn't been easy, but it hasn't also been difficult. It has been easy because I have a trusting board. I have a board that has confidence in me. I have a board that supports me in every way. I have leveraged on their pedigree to move this organization forward. I have leveraged on their wisdom and experience to also, waddle through some of our difficult days. In terms of the difficulties, when Wrapa started, that's 1998, and then we went into the operations fully late 1999, 2000. There was this, difficult apprehension, particularly in northern Nigeria, about women's rights, about the arguments around the rights of women, the name of the organization, the challenges of survival in a field that is uncharted, women's rights. We set up this organization from ground zero, and we still have some of our founding members of the organization serving in the organization 22 years down the line, which I think goes to the board of trustees and my humble self. I will probably not say I should assess myself, but at least I can curate what I hear from my staff. Some of them say I am a slave driver, I'm a workaholic. They say so, I know it. They say it in front of me and behind me. They say they fear me, and I say I don't apologize if it is about the work, but I'm sorry if it is the human part of it. So my leadership is open, it is humane, but it is very, very strict on accountability. As a leader, I want to be the one apologizing to you. When I apologize to a staff, it means that staff has advised me or has proposed something and I had not taken it, and then we run into trouble and we have to backtrack into what they proposed. So that means they are right, I am wrong, and I'm quick to say I am sorry. So I tell them I always prefer to be the one to say I'm sorry, because it will be that single opportunity, or it should be one single happening. But when you say you are sorry, it means there is problem big time, because I don't know where you are being sorry. Whether it is you were not able to do what you are supposed to do, whether you have been compromised, or whether you have let the ball down, both for yourself and for the organization. So I tell my staff, please allow me to do the sorry, because I want to be as much as possible the leader you should see, and I have no qualms saying I'm sorry. And of course, I'm human. I have the tendency to really go crazy when things don't go right. But I always tell my staff, it is not from the head, it is not from the heart, it is from the head, and it is all about delivering for Wrapa. I think the biggest is related to the leadership of the organization. We are blessed to have survived, as against other projects. And with all due respect to all the past first ladies whose projects some have gone a little bit under, with all due respect to them, I want to say that Justice Fati has achieved what she has achieved in this organization. One, for her candor and sincerity of purpose when she set up Wrapa. Two is also for style, where she gives us room to do the right thing. So my biggest challenge is living up to that trust, living up to that room that she has given. And I always say to staff, please remember, it is not us, it is not me, it is not you. It is the name of Justice Fati. It is the sincerity of purpose of Justice Fati. And of course, because a lot of them don't have the same opportunity as I have to know her, they don't understand that until something happens. So my biggest challenge has been to live up to the trust level of Justice Fati and the Board of Trustees, the confidence level of our clientele, and then that ability to carry my staff with the same level of conviction as I have. It is not to say that they don't believe in the organization, but I always think that if they share my passion, if they share my knowledge of how Wrapa came to be and how Wrapa should be and how Wrapa has been blessed to still remain and to be growing, we've grown to such a point that we have had international recognition as an effective and efficient institution. So that's an accountability index. We have to live up to that. So that has been a challenge, but it's not a challenge that I don't surmount or we cannot surmount. As a team of the management, the Board of Trustees and the staff, we always maneuver around any challenge that comes through that. The second challenge I have experienced as Secretary General, which is still something I'm grappling with, is because of the longevity of my stay in the organization. I have become synonymous with the organization. And that's a challenge. I'm looking forward to a situation where my persona and the organization can be split. And when they are split, it's not to say I have been driven off or I have been dismissed by the organization. No, the organization has grown beyond my persona. My persona and that of Justice Fati is what brought us to where we are. The conviction of funders, the conviction of supporters of the organization, our beneficiaries, we should remove it from the persona of Saudatu Mahdi and Justice Fati Abubakar. Justice Fati has always wanted Wrapa to be an organization that has a standing of its own. That's why when we never got a plot of land while she was First Lady, and I would say, you see, madam, people got, but we don't have. She said, you're an organization, go out and get it. And that has kept the organization on a very focused path of we must survive because we are an organization. So the viability of the organization remains our focus. And I want to see that challenge of my person is divorced from what the organization has become. Yes, we can all take credit, but beyond taking the credit, if there's a meeting and you don't see the face of Saudatu, you don't say Wrapa is not there. My staff are there. And we have gone into a deliberate transition where you find that almost 60% of our staff right now are under 40. Yeah. It's deliberate because we want to transition. We are supporting mentorship programs of organizations such as NWTF, earlier on, even before now, CDD, International Human Rights Law Group, and the mentorship programs of other organizations, just so that we can draw from those mentor profiles and have people come to Wrapa. We have had people who have passed through Wrapa go to international organizations, DFID, OCWA, all of these organizations, somehow, somewhat, MacArthur Foundation. You will find people who have come through Wrapa in those organizations. That's my third challenge, and is the final one, is time management. Because of the opportunity I've had over the last 21 years being in development work, I have also become a jack of many trades, not of all, of many trades. I'm into this, I'm into that, and time management has really become a challenge. As a leader of Wrapa, I need time to have my eyes around what is happening because accountability ends on my table. As a consultant, I have committed to deliver to people. As a partner organization to other endeavors, I need to live up to the commitments that Wrapa has made to serve. And then family. I have a family. So that challenge of continuous negotiation for time and time use is a challenge. But alhamdulillah, we are coping. The only thing that is against it is age. Things I could do 20 years ago and juggle 20 years ago, I'm finding difficulty doing that now. But I still cope, and I'll continue coping. But my hope is that through a viewing of your documentary, we should have more women come up to believe in the fact that you could juggle a lot of things. God has already made women like that. Women have been made to juggle many, many things. Look at how we support our homes, not family, homes. Because we live in houses, but we thrive in homes. And a woman makes the home. And that homemaking is not just washing the dishes, it's not cooking the food. It's the training you give your children, it's the support you give your husband, it's the extended family contributions you make. All of that makes the home and makes the family life. So I want girls and women, younger women watching me to know that it is not impossible. You can juggle career and family. The 3 rules I have applied for myself in juggling career and family. First is responsibility. I know the extent, I know the line I put between family and career. It wasn't easy in the beginning. I can remember instances where my husband really had to put his foot down about a computer in our bedroom. I can also remember points at which I will go to a wedding and I have my computer bag beside my handbag. But over time, I have learned a lot of things about how to juggle those things. Traveling also is a challenge in career and family, especially when your children are young. I was very blessed. I'm still blessed. I had family, extended family support. I had my sisters, my husband's sisters, because for me, I have in-laws that are not in-laws, but my siblings. The second thing I say to young women and career juggling is you must make quality time. I call it QT. Make a quality time that you have conversations with your husband, that you have time with your husband, that you have time with your children. Where possible, time with your domestic staff. That means your domestic staff have been made to feel family, that they are not slaves, that they have human dignity, and that you care for them. The last thing I also want to put across to young career aspiring women is the issue of realities. Much as our economic circumstances, educational proficiency, our job opportunities may award us some level of empowerment, I think for me, the biggest empowerment is being at terms with your reality. If you're at terms with your reality, then you would know what you need to juggle, you would know what to put your foot down on, which is non-negotiable, and then you will know where to give up. What we have in families today, and I can tell you this because Wrapa receives cases, we have also done research that has shown us the impact of some of these reality checks on the sustainability of marriages today. We have done research on the predisposing factors to divorce, and a lot of them circle around these 3 things: communication, economics, and the dynamics of our realities. Negotiating your realities means you know that you are living in a society that even though you have resources, even though you have a pedigree, that society places minimum respect for your dignity because they think you need to be attached as a Mrs. MRS, I call it MRS. But I tell women, you can be a Mrs., but you can't be a Mrs. at all costs. You cannot be a Mrs. just for the sake of, satisfying the tongues of your neighbors or your community or your family when you are going through abuse. So your reality must tell you where to draw the line. If it means divorce or if it means separation for those religions and cultures that allow separation, then let it be for you and that spouse to be able to take stock. Is it worth it? Are we in it for the right reason? Do we want to continue it for the right reason? Not just for the children. Because I tell women, the quality of upbringing, the quality of the dignity of your children is the quality you bring forth. If their father has no regard for you, or he disrespects you before their eyes, or he abuses you before everybody, then you really need to make a reality, draw a reality line. The second reality is again aligned to society. Where society sees you as a single mother, this nomenclature of single mother is not ours. It is about a mother being given responsibility by God to bring up her children. So it is not a status, it is a calling. And whether she does that in or outside of marriage should not be the yardstick to measure her or to measure her credibility or integrity. But that's the reality we live in. So if you decide outside of abuse to end a marriage because you think you're in a comfortable job, because you don't want to negotiate the reality of your relationships, or because you believe that I can survive, remember that you are in a real context of a very judgmental society, and that's the Nigerian society. They never hear the side of the woman. They don't want to hear the side of the woman because the belief that the husband is the head of the family also arrogates to him the decision-making status. He does not need her inputs. And you cannot decide my life without my voice. So when women face the reality of a husband who doesn't like that, that woman should know how to negotiate it and get her voice into the decisions that affect her life. It shouldn't be a tension that destroys the marriage. And I believe it comes to the third point, which is communication. Depending on the kind of communication channels we set up between ourselves as spouses, it can come to affect our careers. If as a chief executive, I know I have to travel, but I don't give notice of my travels to my husband, to my family. I just assume that, oh, I'm already in the job. What I'm earning from this job contributes to the family, so nobody should stop me going. And then I just say, I'm traveling tomorrow. No, it's not so much as asking for permission, because some people see it as asking for permission. But you already have a perpetual permission. The fact that he has agreed you can have a career. And the fact that he has given you that career opportunity also does not mean he devolves other responsibilities to you, which is what we see today. So it's a negotiation, it's communicating and also ensuring that you give the due to each other. But definitely, juggling career and family is not the easiest task. It is not done, you never finish it. I have come to reality checks with the fact that no matter what you do, we live in a man's world. You live in a man's world. But living in a man's world does not mean you lose your voice. Doesn't also mean you lose your presence. Presence is very important. Voice is equally important, because these are natural gifts from God. That I have a voice, that I should be listened to. So when we seek for women's inclusion in decision making that affects their lives, we're not just doing it for the sake of being on the table. We're doing it so that as they contribute to the tables in their families, they learn the dynamics of negotiation. They learn the dynamics of give and take. They learn the dynamics of learning from others' views and experiences, So when they come to the table of decision making in governance, they apply those skills into the job they do. The second achievement I always say to people is, I believe the work we have done in Wrapa and women's rights organizations in this country has moved the needle for recognition of the reality and the truth about violence against women. It is no longer English. In the 90s, in the 1990s, and in the 2000s, people would say, these NGOs that were making figures, were following Oibo to make figures. Today, violence against women is a reality. And I want to believe that it's an achievement that the work I and Wrapa and all our sister organizations have done has brought us a reality. The third achievement, which I think is also worth celebrating, is the fact that much as we have brought it out, we have also been able to bring to fore the need for zero tolerance right from the home base, the need for commitment to contribute to its elimination, that's violence against women, and the need to have legal frameworks that enforce accountability on perpetrators, which until all of this work we are doing was different. Impunity is the order, or was the order of the day. Sweeping it under the carpet in families, order of the day. Absence of voice to report missing. That capacity, that tenacity to go after perpetrators was also missing. But today, I can say from what we have done as a collective, from my leadership of the Legislative Advocacy Coalition of Violence Against Women, my leadership of other platforms, my work in Wrapa, and my staff and my board, I can say we have achieved that because we saw it as a priority. For Wrapa, violence against women is unacceptable under any guise, and we will do anything and we will spend any amount of money to ensure that we support a survivor of violence against women. My other achievements are almost personal, and I discuss them not with pride, but with humility. That despite the fact that I juggled a career all my life, I have juggled a career. I want to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I want to thank my husband. I think I have achieved as a mother, as a wife. Yeah, my husband has other wives, but I always say I'm the wife number 1 to 10. Anybody else is number 11. And I didn't achieve it just like that. I achieved it because I sacrificed. I achieved it because I contributed. I achieved it because I gave up some things. I learned some things. I taught some things. So I can say that I'm a successful wife, a successful mother. I have 8 children, and I want to believe that it's not an achievement you make out of your strength. Women should understand that achieving successful marriages, achieving successful careers is not just you. It is the ecosystem around you. And that ecosystem is your reality. How you live it, how you negotiate it, how you use it positively is all very, very important. I see the Nigerian Women Trust Fund as an achievement that I share in. It doesn't belong to me alone, but I share in it. And by the grace of God, it has thrived because through thick and thin, and I repeat, through thick and thin, the CEOs that have held that organization for us have all been very, very, I don't want to sound, I don't want to sound like I'm a praise singer, but I want to really celebrate Aisha Osori. I want to celebrate Funke Barua and the current CEO, Mufliat Fijabi. I think moving from time to time, from point to point, these 3 women have given life to the dream of the sustainability of Nigerian Women Trust Fund. But again, you ask, how did they do it? They had a very, very tenacious board of directors. I strongly call on everyone to to support the Nigerian Women Trust Fund. I don't know whether there's another of its kind across Africa, but even if there is, I think it is equal to any other we have anywhere. And I also want to call on Nigerian women who are into partisanship to understand that the Nigerian Women Trust Fund was never meant to dole out money to them. And I can say that because I'm a founding member. I think I can pull out from my books here the eligibility criteria that we drew up. It's on my system. We had a clear eligibility criteria. We have clear terms of reference for people who can access the resources, not in defined money. We can't dole out money, but we can build your capacity. We can give you contacts, we can lead you, we can also support you through the difficulties. We can do advocacy with your political parties. We can help you to organize. We can also get you the support of the men, but you need to show agency. Women in politics in Nigeria need to show agency. We have always said to them, politics is not a birthday, it is also not a wedding anniversary. Politics is a lifestyle, it's a profession. So if you decide to go in, you must remain in. And if you decide to go out, ensure that you train others to remain in there. Because we cannot be absent. We cannot, as NGO, be asking for a space for women's voices on decision-making tables, and there is nobody to give. In fact, that's the excuse that men use now in political parties. So we've got to make it a chain, a value chain, that we all commit to sustaining and ensuring that we are not the weakest link. And you have to be the strongest link because it is around you we are designing our programs. How do you campaign? How do you build your constituency? How do you negotiate yourself within the party? How do you deliver on the manifesto you said to your constituency? So if you don't show agency, if you don't know how to communicate with the media, if you don't have visibility for what you are doing in your constituency, we would not see the Women Trust Fund as an achievement. So I plead with Nigerian women. I plead with young women especially, and I'm glad that we have many platforms today that are pushing young women into politics. It is not about the money you can make in politics. In fact, politics should not have a money-making end. The leadership of political parties, I also call, when women ask for space, we're not asking for favors, we're not asking for tokenism, we're asking for what is a right and a responsibility. And finally, to INEC and to the government, women in politics is the smart economics that you should be playing, because the more women you have in decision making, the better Nigeria will be.